In a small village nestled between rolling hills and dense forests lived identical twin sisters named Udo and Yugo. From the moment they drew their first breaths, the sisters were inseparable, their bond deeper than any the villagers had ever seen. They moved through life as mirror images of each other, wearing identical clothes carefully chosen to match each morning, their long braided hair styled the same way, and their voices carrying the same melodious tone. As they grew up, their connection only strengthened. They walked the same paths to the stream, shared the same wooden bowl during meals, and finished each other's sentences with an uncanny accuracy that both amazed and unsettled their neighbors. When one laughed, the other's joy would echo immediately after, their happiness amplified by their shared experience. However, their extraordinary closeness came at a price. Young girls in the village who tried to befriend them found themselves facing an impenetrable wall. The twins showed little interest in forming friendships outside their duo, often responding with cold indifference or subtle mockery to any attempted connection. They didn't see how their behavior hurt others, their world complete with just the two of them. Their father watched this behavior with growing concern, but his gentle attempts to encourage them to make friends went unheeded. The twins were content in their private universe, speaking in half sentences that only they understood, sharing secret glances that held entire conversations, and planning a future that would keep them together forever. When they reached marriageable age, they made a decision that would shape their destiny. One afternoon, sitting by their favorite stream, they clasped hands and made a solemn vow. They would only marry the same man. In their minds, this was the only way to ensure their bond remained unbroken. They didn't consider the practical challenges or social implications of such a decision. Their world had always been just the two of them, and they saw marriage as simply adding one more person to their carefully controlled existence. News of the twins' unusual marriage condition spread through the village like wildfire. Young men who had admired their beauty from afar now approached with caution. One by one, suitors came to their father's compound, each hoping to win the hand of either Udo or Yugo. But each time, the twins would calmly explain their condition. They must marry the same man, or they wouldn't marry at all. The suitors' reactions ranged from disbelief to outright laughter, thinking it was surely a jest. But as they realized the twins were serious, they would leave, shaking their heads at such an unusual demand. The twins' father watched with growing anxiety as potential husband after potential husband turned away, but his daughters remained unmoved by his concerns. Then one day, a wealthy and respected man named Chief Kalu visited their home. He was older than the twins by several years and carried himself with the dignity of his position. His first wife had passed away years ago, leaving him with a daughter named Elle, who was close to the twins' age. When Chief Kalu expressed his interest in marrying Udo, the twins' father hesitantly explained their unusual requirement. To everyone's surprise, Chief Kalu didn't dismiss the idea immediately. Instead, he sat in thoughtful silence, stroking his chin as he considered the proposition. After a long moment, he agreed to marry both sisters. He was the first man willing to accept their condition, and his wealth and status made him an attractive prospect in the eyes of their father. The marriage ceremony was grand, befitting Chief Kalu's status. The twins wore matching wedding clothes, their faces glowing with triumph at having achieved their goal. But as they moved into their new home, the first cracks in their perfect plan began to appear. Chief Kalu's daughter, Elle, made no attempt to hide her displeasure with her father's new wives. She would watch them with narrowed eyes, her lips curled in barely concealed contempt. She spread whispers among the household staff, planting seeds of discord with carefully chosen words. One day, she even accused the twins of stealing her precious necklace, a gift from her late mother. Though the chief dismissed her accusations when the necklace was found under one of the twins' beds, the incident created a lingering tension in the household. As time passed, Chief Kalu began to show clear preference for Udo. He would present her with special gifts, colorful wrappers, delicate jewelry, sweet fruits from distant markets. He spent more time in her company, openly calling her his favorite wife. While Udo basked in the attention, Yugo felt the sting of rejection keenly. When Yugo gathered her courage to discuss her feelings with the chief, he merely laughed, telling her to accept that her sister was his favorite. His dismissive response planted the first seeds of resentment in Yugo's heart. Meanwhile, Inem took particular pleasure in tormenting Yugo, taunting her with reminders that she would never be as loved as her sister. One morning, Udo sought out her sister with exciting news. She was pregnant. The announcement fell like a stone in the still waters of their relationship. Yugo's face froze in a mask of congratulation, but behind her eyes, jealousy flickered like a shadow. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. They were supposed to share everything, experience everything together. Now, for the first time, Udo was stepping into a future that Yugo couldn't immediately follow. As Udo's belly swelled with new life, Yugo began to withdraw. The distance between them grew, marked by silent meals and avoided glances. Yet, when Udo gave birth to a healthy baby boy, Yugo pushed aside her jealousy enough to help care for her nephew. She would bathe him carefully, sing him lullabies, and rock him to sleep, all while fighting the bitterness that threatened to consume her. Then came the morning that changed everything. After Yugo had given the baby his usual bath, Udo went to check on her son. Her scream shattered the morning peace, bringing the entire household running. The baby lay still and quiet, no breath stirring his tiny chest. In her grief and shock, Udo turned on her sister with terrible accusations. "You killed him," she screamed, her face contorted with anguish. "You've always been jealous that our husband prefers me. I never thought you would stoop so low, killing my son just because you have no child of your own." The accusation hung in the air like poison. Through her tears, Udo begged Chief Kalu to send her sister away, claiming she no longer felt safe with Yugo in the house. The chief, caught up in his favorite wife's grief, ordered Yugo to leave immediately. He didn't stop to investigate the truth or give Yugo a chance to defend herself. His words fell like a final judgment. "Leave my compound now and never return." Yugo left with nothing but the clothes on her back and tears streaming down her face. As she walked through the village, she could feel the weight of judging eyes upon her. Whispers followed in her wake, the story of her alleged crimes spreading rapidly from compound to compound. Unable to bear the shame and unwilling to face her father with such accusations hanging over her head, Yugo disappeared from the village, leaving no trace of where she had gone. In the months following Yugo's departure, a heavy silence fell over Chief Kalu's compound. Udo went about her daily tasks like a shadow of herself. Her grief for her lost child mingled with growing doubt about her accusation against her twin. But life continued its forward march, and eventually, Udo found herself pregnant again. The household received the news with cautious optimism, hoping this child would bring healing to their fractured family. When Udo delivered another healthy baby boy, it seemed their hopes might be realized. However, their joy was short-lived. One morning, just as before, Udo found her second son had stopped breathing. Devastated by the loss of two sons, Chief Kalu knew they needed answers. He took Udo to visit the village seer, an elderly woman known for her ability to see beyond the physical world. In her dimly lit hut, thick with the smoke of sacred herbs, the seer revealed a shocking truth about their family's misfortune. Many years ago, the seer began, her clouded eyes seeming to peer into the past. "Before your daughter Anim was born, you and your first wife made a powerful covenant. You promised each other that if one died, the other would never remarry. Breaking this covenant carries terrible consequences." The seer explained that the deaths of their babies were not caused by human hands, but by the spiritual consequences of the broken covenant. Chief Kalu sat in stunned silence as he remembered making this promise, while Udo's face crumpled with the realization that she had wrongly accused her sister. The seer directed them to a powerful man known for resolving such matters, but when they found him, his news was grim. The covenant was too powerful to break easily. Its roots ran too deep, its power too strong. Chief Kalu and Udo returned home with heavy hearts, knowing their family was trapped by a promise made years ago. While her family grappled with the truth about the covenant, Yugo's life had taken an extraordinary turn. After fleeing the village, she had wandered far, her heart heavy with the false accusations against her. On her journey, she encountered an old man who seemed to appear out of nowhere on the dusty road. The old man spoke with honeyed words, promising to solve all her problems. He showed her a small, intricately carved amulet, claiming it held the power to change her appearance at will. In her desperate state, Hugo didn't stop to question his motives or the wisdom of accepting such a mysterious gift. Using the amulet, Hugo transformed herself into an elderly woman, thinking this would allow her to return to her village without being recognized. But she soon discovered she had been tricked. No matter how hard she tried, she could not return to her young self. The old man had preyed on her vulnerability, stealing her youth for himself. With nowhere else to go, Hugo made her home in a cave near the village, the same cave where she and Udo had spent countless hours during their childhood, sharing secrets and dreams. From this vantage point, she could observe village life while remaining hidden, a shadow of her former self. Fate intervened when Udo, consumed by guilt and missing her sister, came to the cave seeking solitude. Hugo, disguised as the old woman, emerged from the shadows and asked why she was crying. She listened as her twin poured out her heart, expressing regret for her hasty accusations and her longing to make things right. Over several visits, Hugo spoke to her sister in riddles, offering wisdom and comfort while keeping her true identity hidden. Finally, during one visit, she revealed the truth by showing Udo the distinctive birthmark they both shared on their wrists. Udo was shocked to discover that this elderly woman was her beloved sister, and through tears, Hugo explained how the sorcerer's amulet had trapped her in this aged form. Despite her transformed appearance, Udo embraced her sister and insisted she return to Chief Kalu's compound. Though surprised by the story, the chief allowed Hugo to stay. Inem, however, found cruel amusement in Hugo's transformation, often mocking her aged appearance. Yet the twins were simply grateful to be reunited, even if one remained trapped in an elderly form. One evening, as the twins returned from another fruitless search for the sorcerer who had tricked Hugo, they discovered a young boy wandering near the bushes. He seemed lost and confused, and with night approaching, Udo's heart went out to him. She invited him to stay at their compound until they could locate his family, and Chief Kalu, unable to refuse his favorite wife's request, agreed. Strange events began to unfold after the boy's arrival. He would tell Udo he heard a baby crying, though there was no infant in the house. Late at night, Hugo found him weeping silently, but he refused to explain why. The next day, the boy disappeared, only to return later accompanied by an elderly woman who introduced herself as his grandmother. Before leaving, the grandmother muttered mysterious words under her breath, her eyes fixed on Udo. That evening, Udo experienced sharp pains in her stomach. The village herbalist's examination revealed surprising news. She was pregnant again. Terrified by the memory of her past losses, Udo and Chief Kalu sought help from a powerful woman living at the village outskirts. When they arrived at her home, they were astonished to discover she was the same grandmother of the lost boy they had sheltered. The old woman smiled knowingly and revealed that she had already broken the covenant's power during her visit to their home. Her mysterious words had been an incantation of protection, ensuring that Udo's unborn child would live a long and healthy life. She explained that she had been moved by their kindness to her grandson and had decided to help them in return. But the story wasn't over yet. Chief Kalu's daughter Inem announced her engagement to a handsome young man named Chisom, who claimed to be an orphan. The marriage ceremony was performed quickly and privately at his request. However, when Udo returned home and saw the young man, an extraordinary thing happened. Hugo suddenly transformed back to her youthful self, while Chisom changed into an old man. He was revealed to be the very sorcerer who had tricked Hugo, now attempting to steal youth from another family. Inem was horrified to discover she had married the deceitful sorcerer. Chief Kalu, enraged by the man's trickery, reported him to the village king. The king had the sorcerer imprisoned in the palace dungeon, ensuring he could never again use his powers to harm innocent people. Inim's marriage was immediately annulled, and through this experience, she learned valuable lessons about kindness and the dangers of hasty judgments. The story of Udo and Hugo became a powerful teaching tale in the village, passed down through generations. It taught that kindness, even to strangers, could bring unexpected blessings. Udo's simple act of helping a lost child had led to breaking the covenant that had caused her family so much pain. This reminded everyone that compassion, freely given, often returns in surprising ways. The twins' journey showed how jealousy and mistrust could damage even the strongest bonds, but also how forgiveness and understanding could heal these wounds. When Udo falsely accused her sister, their seemingly unbreakable relationship had nearly been destroyed forever. Yet through forgiveness and reconciliation, they rebuilt their relationship on a stronger foundation of wisdom and mutual respect. Inim's transformation particularly resonated with the villagers. They watched as she evolved from a bitter, resentful daughter to a more understanding and compassionate person. Her experience with the sorcerer taught her that quick judgments and cruel behavior could lead to painful consequences. By choosing to live peacefully with her stepmothers, she found greater happiness than she had known in her days of bitterness. Even Chief Kalu learned valuable lessons. He realized that showing favoritism had contributed to the problems in his household. By learning to love both wives equally, he helped create a more harmonious home where everyone felt valued and respected. The story taught that life's challenges, though difficult, could lead to growth and wisdom. It showed that kindness, honesty, and forgiveness were not merely abstract virtues, but powerful forces that could transform lives in unexpected ways. Most importantly, it revealed that true happiness comes not from getting everything you want, but from treating others with compassion and understanding. In the end, Udo gave birth to healthy twin boys who grew strong and lived long lives. The household found peace at last, with Chief Kalu loving both wives equally, and the twins' bond, though tested, growing stronger than ever. Their story became a testament to the power of love, forgiveness, and the unexpected ways that kindness can change the course of lives.